back live, and I'm going to move this down again. Okay, and here as well, I just add in another little hat bit onto my pattern there. Okay, so I'll give you time to join me again. And I'm going to be shading with a pencil. And I've got a couple of Braulios. I've got even Braulio el Magnifico is with me today. So this is Braulio el Magnifico. These are baby Braulios and skinny Braulio. So the shading. Hola, hola. I'm glad you could rejoin me. I have a very pesky fly in my house today, which is may join in at some point. Que tengo una mosca que parece que va a unirse con nosotros. Okay. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining me again. Let's do some shading. I hope you've got a nice sharp pencil. I use the Zentangle original pencils, but if you don't have one of those, but you've got a 2B pencil, or a not 2B pencil, if you don't have a 2B pencil, then any pencil is fine. If you don't have a Braulio, which is a tortillon, a little rolled up piece of paper, it's very tightly rolled, and this just helps to push the shading into the places where you want it. Don't worry, you can use a cotton bud, a Q-tip. It's more difficult, and this does need quite a bit of fine shading, so better to use just a pencil than to smudge it everywhere. So we'll work really carefully with the pencil. Estaba diciendo, si no tienes un Braulio fino, pero tienes un bastoncillo, puede ser para hacer esto, sería un poco más grueso. Entonces vamos a hacer, más o menos, vamos a hacerlo con lápiz. Si tienes un Braulio fino, bien. Ok, esto va, vamos a seguir la línea dentro de cada trocito de la rosa. So we're just going to put a little bit of shading around the inside of the rose. And okay, so if you haven't got a fine Braulio, you can get in and just soften that really, really gently. But if you're not careful, you will have no white left. So ten cuidado que no rellenarlo todo. Si no tienes un Braulio muy fino, puede ser que tiene todo sombreado. Okay, so can you see that that's just shaded just that little bit? And if you don't have a fine Braulio, then just put a little bit of pencil. Si no tienes un Braulio fino, mejor solo con lápiz, creo. Vamos a disfrutar ese momento de sombrear. Although this looks very, very black, it's actually quite a nice hard Braulio. Difuminador. See, I can say difumino, but for so many years I've said Braulio, and I have one of these which you can just take off some of that extra pencil. But remember, if you're not obsessed with Zentangle, you might not have all this super duper equipment. Si no es obsesivo con Zentangle hasta ahora, puede ser que no tiene todos esos materiales. Okay, so now I've got a nice clean point for my Braulio. Okay, it's very important to have a clean point on your Braulio. I'm just going to add another little bit of shading around the inside of each of these petals. Voy a echar un poco de lápiz muy suavemente dentro de cada pétalo por la parte arriba. And this gives a nice dimensioned effect. And if you have a nice fine braulio, then you can just gently soften that. But you can see it doesn't make so much difference whether you do shade this or whether you leave it just with the pencil. No te preocupes tanto si no tienes un braulio que se difumina muy fino. Es muy fino. Eso es muy fino. Okay, so this is a very subtle little bit of shading. Pero vamos a hacer un poco más ahora. Vamos a hacer alrededor de todo. We're going to do a little more shading around the whole of this rose. So even if you haven't been able to define all the petals really carefully, we'll put some shading around the whole thing so the rose stands out. Vamos a hacer más sombra alrededor de toda la rosa. Así está más destacada en la tesela. Without worrying about what's underneath it, I've just gone all the way around, and then I'm going to really blend that outwards so it becomes much more highlighted, much more visible. You see that? I'm going on top of everything that's there already and just spreading that out around the rose. So that rose really stands out now. If you use an emery board to sharpen or to file your braulio, that works really well. I just bought a pack of braulios and they all came together. They came with these. I think they're called blending stumps. I don't like the word stump. I like braulio. And they came with the different sizes. So this was one of the bigger ones. This is Braulio El Magnifico. Okay, let's continue. And so now I'm going to shade this one. So I've already got a little bit of shading here at the bottom, but let's put a bit more. Vamos a hacer un poco más aquí. Vamos a difuminar un poco más. Y como antes he dicho que aquí voy a hacer un poco. Here I'm just going to put a little bit alrededor de cada uno de estos y también encima. Tiny little bit on top. Esto va hasta aquí. And then I'm going to, because I want this to have an effect of volume 2, I'm going to put a little bit of shading around the outside edge of this little part in the centre here. You see how that just blows up. And here, down this line, where the lines join the straight line, which is what I said before. And then I'm going to, again, just blend this up, just letting it get a little bit lighter all the way up. Up, 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 up. Oh, it's down actually, because it's down. Okay, round here. And just a little bit on top. And then here, I'm going to blend. You don't need to, if you've got a lot of black, you do not need to put pencil on top of the black. It really doesn't make any difference. You can't see it. Sometimes it leaves the black a bit shiny and grey looking. And here I'm going to blend this out. I probably did a little bit too much there, but you can't have too, well, you can have too much shading, but just leaving the tips of those there like that. Okay, so can you see that's now got a lot more movement? Okay, I can just bring a little bit down here, but as I say, and I always say, shading is an art. It's not that you have to have shade in a certain place. Just look at it and say, oh, I can add a little bit more here. There are some people who are very, very brave when they shade, and some people who are worried about how to shade. Don't be worried. Follow those 3 rules that I gave you, where you've got a line here with lines coming into it, shade on the lines that are going into the straight line, where you've got more ink, shade, and if you've got something that's on top of something else, shade. Just go for it. And just continue. I'm going to do my other one now. I presume everybody's will be slightly different, so you will not be able to do it exactly the same. So here I'm putting it along this line because that's where we're going to have more shade. It's a broken one. Okay, here, because I've got more pen lines, I'm going to put up here. I have no idea what the name of the rose is. I'm not saying that I've invented it. I must have seen it somewhere. I must have thought it was a good idea. But I don't know if it's a pattern or just something that somebody's adapted. There are a lot of rose patterns. And if you go onto Tangle Patterns, you can almost check the names of the patterns by the types. You know, flower patterns, organic patterns. So I'm just adding a little bit in here. And I'm going to move on fairly quickly now because shading, I think, is quite personal. I've told you the tips that I have. I don't know what else I can do apart from just show you how I do mine. Okay, maybe a little bit round here. Important thing is that you have some light and some dark, and don't be afraid to add shading on this type of pattern. I'm going to move around to here. And this one, here again, following my rules, this one has got the lines that go in, and that's the outside line there. There's more lines here. And here, around the outside, if you've got a shape like this, and you want to give an effect that it's domed, like here, then the curved part in the middle, the part that's up in the middle, will take no shadow whatsoever, and that means you can bring the rest of the shading in quite a long way, as long as you leave just that little bit down the middle. Can you see? I'm going to go really close. Voy muy cerca para explicar que con este solo tiene que dejar el hueco en el centro para dar el efecto de luz y volumen. So you can, when you've got a shape like this with curved lines, you can really add plenty shading. I'm going to go around the outside, not on the black. Here. Okay, and I'm also going to add just a little bit here because this is very similar to that, and that you've got 2 sides coming up and it's a little bit higher in the center. And this one is also the same. I keep picking that pencil, which is to bring the shading towards the center in this direction here. I hope I'm not telling you things that you know. Espero que no estoy diciendo cosas que sabes ya. Solo quiero compartir un poco de mi experiencia y las cosas que me encanta. And the things that I love. So there we are. Those are the 3 parts shaded, a little bit of different options to make the flux pattern suddenly have echo lines around it. And as I said before, here, any rose. Here, I'm only going to put a little bit of shading in the center of each one of these, just like that. I'm not going to make this too fussy. This is an extra little pattern which you could use if you wanted. If you hadn't used before, it's sort of continuing the theme for this week, which is echo lines. Y voy a difuminarlo hacia afuera. So I've got more in the center because that's where all the lines are. And I'm just going to shade that out in this way. Here too. This one's a little bit bigger. And just have fun with whatever patterns you've chosen to put in here. And you find you'll probably be able to keep adding more lines. And the muka. And the muka, what I've got, I'm going to just do shading. I'm not going to do anything else. Just going to put a little bit of a shade here and here, which when I use the braulio, I'm going to shade it first down, then I'm just going to continue it round, just getting lighter and lighter. Just touch the top, just again, so it's got like a little bit of a circle in the middle of light. I do that by shading more heavily at the bottom and then using the shade that sticks to my braulio to take it up to the top. And I'm just going to continue a little bit so you can see that stalk on the white. Okay, and there we go. Barbara's just asked me if I do colouring and shading. Yes, I do, and I'll show you here. This is painted, but why not? Why not add shading as well? I think adding shading as well as the colouring, as well as the colours, is absolutely fine. I think it's fantastic. Do it, do it, do it. Do it, Athlo. Do it, do it. And what you can do as well here is, I'm just going to show you here. So, yeah, shade and colour. If you like shading and colouring, yes. If you don't, oh, I don't know what to say really. But look, the effect is fantastic if you shade on top of colour, and you get even more depth. You get even more. So you won't spoil it by colouring and shading. And if you want to see some of the masters at this, people like Jo Flaherty is amazing. She's fantastic. So I've just randomly added a little shading to that. Can you see? You can see how quickly I did it. But yes, you can add even more depth if you use colour. And did I use shading? Yes, I did. What I did here is I shaded around the bottom, definitely. I definitely added shading here. I didn't add shading on top of the muka because I didn't think it needed it. But I have no problem whatsoever to show you. If you do add a little bit, it will give it even greater depth. Oh, it's gorgeous with more shading. I should have added shading. I'm glad you asked. Can you see that it adds even more depth? It doesn't detract from the colour. It really adds. So, well, I think this is almost finished. I hope you can see that you can add lots of other things. Oh, look, I missed a muka. Sorry, I missed a muka. How can I miss a muka? And you can go and you can do every single tipple separately, or you can just add a little bit of shading. If you've got some coloured pens, I quite liked what I did with the other one, where I did some little squiggly bits coming out here, sort of quite a nice little touch. How do you get the white on top? The white on top you can only do if you've got some colour underneath, or if you've got a lot of pencil. So I'll just show you here. I'm just going to put a lot of pencil on this muka here. If I want to really get a little extra dot of white on that one, I have put extra. No, my white pen's not working too well. Okay. Just very gently touch the white pen and let the gel come out. Okay. So to get the white, you need to use something like a Jelly Roll pen. There are other ones, but the Jelly Roll one is particularly good. And these are white chalk pastel pencils. Again, they're Zentangle pencils, but it's white pastel. It's like a white chalk pastel pencil. And these are fantastic for adding on these tiles. You can just add, and you can really see it. It works really, really well. So I will leave you with that. I hope that you're inspired to try some new ideas and just experiment. I don't know which way up that was now. That way. Experiment with some of these techniques and see which you like doing best. And don't worry about shading. Go for it. This is my tile finished. I hope you've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed doing it. As you can see, I've done it many, many times. And the tangles that I showed you were sprinkle. I'm not sure how else you can say it. Frickle is the one that we did the other day. If you wanted to look again at Fleavy, if you don't know it, Fleavy is a cute one. And this is Sand Swirl with some extra little bits. They are all the tangles that you can take are. It's possible to add some lines in some ways if you just look for them. If you do post your tiles, can you please put my ticket, my label, Annie Taylor CZT, with the hashtags Yo dibujo Zentangle, Yo me quedo en casa. If you want to hashtag me as well, that's great. I'm just starting a new website. Tengo un website, un sitio web nuevo, que se puede encontrar en annietaylorczt.com. So, todo en mi nombre, más CZT, todo juntos. annietaylorczt altogether.com. If you add artisan, it's a play on the words of art and zen. If you add this hashtag, please only do that if you are giving your permission for me to add your site to my website. I would like to use some of the things that people do to showcase the classes that we've had. So, si tengo tu permiso, me gustaría añadir algunas fotos, algunos dibujos a mi website nuevo, pero hay que etiquetarle con art y zen, todo juntos. Okay, thank you very much, and I hope you've enjoyed that, and I hope I see what you're going to do very soon. Gracias y hasta viernes. Hasta luego. Hasta luego. Okay, somebody's just arrived, but now we're finished. I'm so sorry. This stays live for 24 hours. I'm just reading some of the things. Thank you very much. Y hasta viernes. Ciao.